What's good, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Stefan, and tonight I'm going to be talking about and celebrating the 43rd anniversary of one of my all-time favorite Michael Jackson classics with Off the Wall. So sit back, relax, and enjoy yourself on this musical ride with me throughout the video. Please don't forget to like, share, and comment on the video. Subscribe to my channel if you're new. Welcome back to the channel if you're a returning subscriber. Also, don't forget to turn on your notification for new videos. Thank y'all for your daily support and love on the channel. I deeply appreciate it. So here we go. Happy 43rd anniversary to one of the most amazing MJ classics ever made with Off the Wall. On this day in 1979, the world witnessed the rebirth of a young superstar. It was 1979 and Michael Jackson was at a crossroad. The dynamic lead singer for the Jacksons was only 21 years old, and yet he was already a Motown seasoned star with 10 years of professional recording and performing experience under his belt. But Michael Jackson wanted more than just stardom. He thirsted for superstardom, and on his own terms at that. Towards his goal of shedding his teeny bopper image, Michael Jackson teamed up with legendary producer to record a make-or-break solo album, his first as an adult, titled Off the Wall. The LP will feature 3 original compositions that Michael Jackson hoped would earn him the entry into the road of trailblazing R&B's songwriters and singers, including Stevie Wonder, James Brown, Marvin Gaye, and Sly Stone. Having charted a fresh musical direction for himself, only one remained unsolved. He needed an image that would signal his newfound maturity to the world. His 5th album, Off the Wall, was released on August 10th, 1979 by Epic Records. Following Michael's critically well-received film performance in The Wiz, while working on that project, Michael Jackson and Quincy Jones had become friends, and Quincy Jones agreed to work with Michael on his next studio album. Recording sections took place between December of 1978 and June 1979 at 3 different recording studios in California. Michael collaborated with a number of other writers and performers such as Paul McCartney, Stevie Wonder, and Rod Temp. 5 singles were released from the album. 3 of these had musical videos: Don't Stop Till You Get Enough, Rock With You, and She's Out of My Life. Michael Jackson wrote 3 of the songs himself, including the #1 Grammy-winning single, Don't Stop Till You Get Enough. It was his first solo release under Epic Records, the label he will record on until his death roughly 30 years later. Several critics observed that Off the Wall was crafted from disco, pop, funk, R&B, soft rock, and Broadway ballads. Its lyrical theme included liberation, loneliness, escape, and romance. Off the Wall peaked at number 3 on the Billboard Top LPs and Tape charts, and number 1 on the Top Black album charts, staying at number one on the ladder for 16 weeks, and it was a normal critical success. 5 singles were released from the album. Michael Jackson wrote 3 songs, including the Billboard Hot 100 number 1 single, Don't Stop Till You Get Enough, his first solo number 1 single in the US since been 7 years prior. The second single, Rock With You, also topped the charts. The following singles, Off the Wall and She's Out of My Life, also reached the US top 10. Michael Jackson became the first solo artist to have 4 singles from the same album reach top 10 of the Billboard Hot 100. Off the Wall was a significant departure from his previous work for Motown and hailed as a major breakthrough for him. In retrospective, writers have hailed it a landmark release of the disco era and one of the greatest albums of all time. Critics often debate whether Off the Wall or Thriller is his best album. Off the Wall sold over 20 million copies worldwide, making it the best-selling albums of all time. At the 1980 Grammys Award, it was nominated for 2 Grammy Awards, with Michael Jackson winning Best Male R&B Vocal Performance for Don't Stop Till You Get Enough. In 2008, Off the Wall was introduced into the Grammy Hall of Fame. I know what you're thinking. Is it possibly to actually have an underrated Michael Jackson album? Yes, it is. Off the Wall. To me, Off the Wall was his best and underrated album in a string of his 4 consecutive and 4 amazing classes of Off the Wall, Thriller, Bad, and Dangerous. Don't get me wrong. As a lifetime and huge Michael Jackson fan, I love all 4. But there's always a debate about which album is his best, between Thriller, Bad, and Off the Wall. Even though Thriller is his greatest album overall and one of the greatest historical musical blockbusters ever made, I have Off the Wall as his best album, and I put Bad as his second best. The disco element was heavy throughout with splashes of funk and soul, and I have always loved them. Michael Jackson and Quincy Jones together was absolutely brilliant, and this album was the first taste of that union. From the beginning of the album, with the hit singles Don't Stop Till You Get Enough and Rock With You, you knew this would be something special. Michael effortless carried Rock With You with his flawless vocals as the smooth beat invite all listeners to dance. The upbeat Don't Stop Till You Get Enough was a great introduction for this album and includes to this dance hit that Michael will have on the album later. Workin Day and Night tells the struggle of a everyday man, and the upbeat disco vibes makes for a smooth listen while evoking more dancing again. My favorite song on the album, however, is the funky, almost soulful Get on the Floor, which I felt was the prequel to the classic Jackson song Everybody from the Triumph album. This song is similar in style and tempo, and Michael absolutely kills it. Between the period between Get on the Floor and I Can't Help It, which is absolutely masterful, as Michael provides us with classic after classic. I find myself singing along to Girlfriend Orphan As Michael made his magic flawless and coast through the McCartney beat, Ron Temper doesn't get enough credit overall for his work with Michael, as he penned the title track and assisted Quincy with production. Another great track on the album has to be my number one favorite from the album, has to be the Stevie Wonder penned I Can't Help It, which is the smoothest track and the most soulful on the album. Check out Michael's rendition of She's Out of My Life, as he gets very emotional towards the end of the song, which is always good to see authentic emotion in music. Michael and Patty Austin combined for one of the closing tracks. It's the Falling in Love, which is a nice disco ballad of sorts. And then you have the Burn This Disco Out finale, which is I'm not a huge fan of, but the song is still quite fun. All in all, I truly feel as if Michael created something magical with this album, and 43 years later, the legacy is still strong, and the music is easy to listen as if it was just released today. Classic. In between 1972 and 1975, Michael Jackson released a total of 4 solo studio albums with Motown. Got to Be There, Ben, Music and Me, and Forever Michael. These were released as a part of the Jackson 5 franchise and produced successful singles such as Got to Be There, Ben, and a remake of Bobby Day's Rockin' Robin. However, the Jackson 5 sales, began to decline in 1973, and the band members shaved under Motown's strict refusal to allow them creative control or input, although the group scored several top 40 hits, including the top 5 disco single Dancing Machine and the top 20 hit I Am Love. The Jackson 5 minus Jermaine Jackson left Motown in 1975. The Jackson 5 signed a new contract with CBS Records in June of 1975, first joining the Philadelphia International Records division and then Epic Records. As a result of legal proceedings, the groups were renamed the Jacksons. After the name change, the band continued to tour internationally, releasing 5 more studio albums between 1976 and 1984. The self-titled album, Going Places, Destiny, Triumph, and Victory, as well as a live concert album in 1981. During that period, Michael was not only the lead singer but the chief songwriter for the group, writing or co-writing such hits as Shake Your Body Down to the Ground, This Place Hotel, and Can You Feel It. But the Jacksons' new label, Epic, Michael seized the opportunity to turn the page. Following the path the record label had project for him, Michael set off on his own to start a album and create an album that reflect who he become both personally and musically as he entered his 20s. The late 70s presented a melting pot of sonic influence as pop entered the most diverse periods yet. Despite his brother's hope that he would keep the album's production in the family, Michael sought a new perspective on his own musical identity. It was during 1977, while filming The Wiz alongside Diana Ross, Michael met Quincy Jones, who was musical supervisor and producer for the film. Striking up a relationship, the pair settled down to record what would be the singer's most decent album to date. In 1978, Michael Jackson starred as the Scarecrow in the film musical The Wiz. The musical scores were arranged by Quincy Jones, who formed a partnership and friendship with Michael Jackson during the film production and agreed to produce his solo album, Off the Wall. Michael Jackson was dedicated to the role and watched videotapes of gazelles, cheetahs, and panthers in order to learn graceful movements for his part in the movie. Quincy Jones required working with Michael Jackson as one of his favorite experiences from The Wiz and spoke of his dedication to the role, comparing his acting style to Sammy Davis Jr. Critics panned The Wiz upon its October 1978 release, but his performance as the Scarecrow was one of the only positive review elements of the film, with critics noting that Michael Jackson possessed genuine acting talent and provided the only genuine memorable moments. Of the results of the film, Michael Jackson stated, "I don't think it could have been any better. I really don't." In 1980, Michael Jackson stated, "His time working on The Wiz was my greatest experience so far. I never forget that." Beginning the project, Michael was initially unsure of the direction he would take. What he did know, however, was that he didn't want to record another album in the style of the Jacksons, cherishing the creative freedom he had not been allowed on previous releases. His father will also approve on the project and allow him to record it on a condition that it didn't interfere with the group's business. Despite his brother's desire to work with him, Michael wanted to make the album independently of his family. Nevertheless, his brother Randy still contributed percussion to Don't Stop Till You Get Enough. Quincy Jones produced Off the Wall, with co-production credits given to Michael on the songs he wrote for the album. Songwriters included Michael Jackson, Ron Temp from Heatwave, Stevie Wonder, and Paul McCartney. All sessions took place at Los Angeles-based recording studios, with recording taking place between December 1978 and June 1979. Rhythm tracks and vocals were recorded at Allen Recording. The horn section contributions took place at Westlake Audio, and string instruments were recorded at Cherokee Studios in West Hollywood. Following the initial sessions, audio mixing was handled by Grammy Award winning engineer Bruce Sweden at Lake Audio, which the original taste went to AM Recording Studio, which was also located in LA for mastering. Bruce Whedon will later mix the recording sessions for his next album and his well-known work, Thriller, in 1982. Quincy Jones recalled at first he found Michael to be very introvert, shy, and non-accessive. She's Out of My Life has been written for Quincy Jones by Tom Bailey 3 years earlier. Michael heard and enjoyed it a lot, and Quincy Jones allowed him to use it on the record. Quincy Jones called in Heatwave keyboardist Ron Templer to write 3 songs. The intention for Michael and Quincy to select one of his songs, but Michael, liking all of them, included all of them in the final cut. Michael stayed up all night to learn the lyrics to the songs instead of singing from a sheet. He finished the vocals to these 3 Ron Templer songs in 2 recording sessions. Ron Templer took a different approach to his songwriting after spending some time researching the background to Michael's musical style. Ron Templer mixed his temporary harmony sections with the idea of adding shorter note melodies to suit his aggression style. Michael Jackson wrote, "Don't stop till you get enough," after humming a melody in his kitchen. After listening to 100 songs, Michael and Quincy decided upon a batch to record. In hindsight, Quincy believed that they took a lot of risks in the production of Off the Wall and the final choice of album tracks. That attention were also paid to the album's cover, which shows Michael smiling, wearing a tuxedo and trademark socks. John Bracco, his manager, stated that the tuxedo was the overall plan for the Off the Wall project and package. The tuxedo was our idea, the socks were Michael's. Off the Wall was crafted from funk, disco, pop, soul, soft rock, and pop ballads. Primarily examples of the ballad She's Out of My Life, the funk tune Workin Day and Night, and the disco song Get On the Floor. I Can't Help It is a jazz piece. Rock With You is a romantic tempo song. The album songs has a tempo of a ranging from 66 beats per minute to on She's Out of My Life to 128 on Working Day and Night. She's Out of My Life. It's a melodic pop ballad. At the end of the former song showed an emotional MJ crying as the song ended. In crafting the album's musical style, Michael and Quincy sojourned the pop landscape, drawing on funk, R&B, soft rock, and disco. Notably, the focus was infectiously melodious and targeted the dance floor was primarily the mainstream American consciousness after the runaway success of Saturday Night Fever. Don't Stop Till You Get Enough was released on July 10th under Epic Records, which his first solo single not released under Motown Records. The song topped the Billboard Hot 100 and on October 10th, making his first solo #1 single since Ben 7 years prior. Rock With You also reached #1 on the Billboard Hot 100, becoming his third #1 single of his career and reaching top spot on the R&B chart. It spent 4 consecutive weeks at #1 July 1980, and it was the 4th biggest single of 1980. In February, the album title track was released as a single and reached number 10 on the Billboard Hot 100 and become a top 10 hit in 4 countries. She's Out of My Life was released after that, reaching number 10 on the Billboard Hot 100 chart in June. The song was also his slowest songs with a tempo of 66 beats per minute. Off the Wall became the first album by a solo artist to generate 4 US top 10 hits. Now off to the track list. The first single that's coming up from Off the Wall is the lead single, Don't Stop Till You Get Enough. In 1978, Michael Jackson starred as the Scarecrow in The Wiz. After filming, Michael contacted the film musical director to discuss a possible solo album. After reviewing hundreds of demos, Don't Stop Till You Get Enough was chosen along with several others to make up Michael's album Off the Wall. Don't Stop Till You Get Enough received criticism for the song's supposedly sexual reference lyrics. Michael Jackson claimed people often misinterpret the song, saying the song was about never quitting regardless of what your dream was. At that time, perhaps his dream was to succeed as a solo artist, and he did. Musically, it is credited as a disco funk song. The song full length on Off the Wall is just over 6 minutes. The song introduced his falsetto voice and vocal hiccups, which became one of his signature techniques. An accompanying music video for Don't Stop Till You Get Enough was released in October 1979. The video showed Michael dancing as well, being shown in a different color backgrounds. Don't Stop Till You Get Enough was considered to be the first song to showcase his talent as a solo artist, both as a songwriter and singer. His brother Randy Jackson and Sheila E. played the percussion on the song. Don't Stop Till You Get Enough earned Michael Jackson his first solo Grammy Awards, taking the title for Best Male R&B Vocal Performance at the 1980 Grammy Awards. It was also nominated for Best Disco Recording. The song also received Favorite Soul/R&B Single at the 1980 American Music Awards. Don't Stop Till You Get Enough was his second single to hit number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 chart, following Ben in 1972, and his first solo number 1 hit on the Billboard Soul Singles charts. It remained at number 1 for 6 weeks on Billboard Soul Singles chart. One thing everyone can understand, this song, irresistible disco ball shimmy and rhythm snap, you heard it a million times and you can never get enough. It was released on July 13th, 1979, and it is certified 5 times platinum. The second single that's coming up next from the album is Rock With You. It is written by Ron Templin and produced by Quincy Jones. It was first offered to Karen Carpenter while she was working on her first solo album, but she turned it down. It was released on November 3rd, 1973 by Epic Records as the second single from the album. It was also the third number 1 hit of the 1980s, a decade which the pop single charts would quickly be dominated by MJ. A music video was released using the song, shorter single version. It featured Michael in a sparkle sequence suit singing a song with a bright laser behind him. The video was directed by Bruce Goins and filmed in 1979 at the 800 stage in Los Angeles, California. The track received generally positive reviews from music critics. A smooth ballad with amazing production, soul classic number with multi-track harmonies, a personified dance beat, shimmering flute tones, and a jazzy guitar work. A disco and funk classic that will get you dancing instantly. If he sweating to dawn, he was probably dancing. As far as grooving goes, this one is slower and funkier than Don't Stop Till You Get Enough. Michael let his groove and voice go graphically when he digs into the line like this. Take it slow because we got so far to go. He's settling into this party he's throwing, pacing himself to go the distance. The third single that's coming up next is Workin Day and Night. The song was written and composed by Michael Jackson, while he shared co-producer credits with Quincy Jones. This single was the B-side of Rock With You. Despite not being released as a single, it has often been played on the radio and in films, becoming his most popular single. He also performed the song live. It is also featured on the video game Michael Jackson The Experience. The song has been sampled by several artists. It also was released and remixed on a remix soundtrack album Immortal in 2011. The second of the three tunes written solely by Michael, Workin Day and Night could have been a smash hit on any other album outfitted with brass, pops, and rattling percussion, which comes totally the end. This one is a rhythmatic monster, certainly not a typical disco funk track. The fourth single that's coming up next from the album is Get On The Floor. Written by Michael Jackson and Louis Johnson, the basic for the brothers Johnson. Get On The Floor shows Michael Jackson attempting to woo someone onto the dance floor in a club. This could possibly be one of the songs about sex in disguise, as wasn't common in this age. It is no surprise that basic Louis John and Cole wrote this one. LJ doesn't quite upstage MJ and his fluttery lover man vocal, but his poppin' bass line makes his dance with me plea rather more reluctant. The fifth single that's coming up next from the album is one of my all-time favorite MJ tracks, Off the Wall. The title track off his breakthrough solo album, Off the Wall. Off the Wall was released as a single in 1980 with a smooth up-tempo beat. It was written by Ron Template and produced by Quincy Jones. The single was released as the third single in November 1979 in the UK and February 1980 in the US. The single was the A side to Get On The Floor. The song revolves around the idea of having no worries, which is precisely how Michael Jackson approached his life in his early years until court cases and personal problems slow him down. The song was first offered to Karen Carper while she was working on her first solo album, but she turned it down. Lyrically, the song was about getting over troubles. The song charted in the top 10 in the US and helped Michael Jackson become the first man to have 4 top 10 singles from the same album. It shimmies ahead a bit like Thriller, which Ron Template would write a few years later, and Michael gives one of the disc's most assertive vocals. It also previewed one of his signature vocal texts of the 80s and beyond. Still, this is safe, good nature, friendly Michael. His message is, life is short, go nuts. You can't say he didn't take it to heart. The sixth single that's coming up next is Girlfriend. It's a song originally written by a English rock band named Wings from their 1978 London album London Town. It was written by Paul McCartney, who originally intended to be sung by Michael Jackson. He covered the song the following year on his 1979 album Off the Wall. In 1980, it was released only in the UK as the fifth and final single off that album. Paul McCartney thought of Girlfriend and as a song that Michael Jackson would like to record and mentioned this to Michael at a party in Hollywood. Michael stated in interviews with the music press in the 1970s that he was a big fan of the Beatles and had the chance to record a Paul McCartney original helped to inspire his next project. However, he ended up recording it himself with his band Wings, and it was issued in 1978 on the album London Town. Michael said he wrote the song for a girl he had a major crush on at the time. The innocence of the lyrics, all about a guy who's actually going to tell another fella that he's having a flame with his lady, is perfect from Michael Jackson. It's supermarket rock with sax and synthetic sounds that have aged about as well as 1979 milk, but those doo-doo-doo-doo vocals bring a smile. Quincy Jones suggested Michael recorded the song for his Off the Wall album. The single was released as a B-side of Bless His Soul with the Jacksons. The seventh song that's coming up next from the album is She's Out of My Life, written by Tom Baylor and performed by Michael Jackson. The song was released as the fourth single from the album. Unlike the album's previous single, which is up-tempo, dance-oriented funk and disco song, She's Out of My Life is an emotional ballad. The song has a tempo of 66 beats per minute, making it one of his slowest songs. The song is about a painful breakup. Quincy Jones originally intended to save the song for Frank Sinatra. However, he wanted Michael to record material with more mature themes and fill the full range of his voice. So he decided to bring out the song to Michael's full attention. A moment in the song occurred near the end when Michael began to break down in tears as he began to sing the word life. Although he attempted to record the song's last few moments with emotional strength, after numerous tries, he continued to end the re-edition. the same by breaking down in tears. Quincy Jones said this in an interview. He said, "She's out of my life. I've been carrying around about 3 years, and you can feel the pain in it. You know, I held on to it, and finally I said, this is the right moment to give it to Michael. And when we recorded it, I know it was an experience he thought he even never even thought about to sing in a song because it's very mature emotion. At the end, he cries of every take. You know, we record about, I don't know, 8 to 11 takes, and every one at the end he just cried, and I said, hey, that's supposed to be, leave it there. A music video was produced to promote the song, which showed Michael in a blue green shirt, dark pants, sitting on a bar stool behind a spotlight shining behind him. The music video used a split screen technique to significantly show Michael from two different angles during the second and third verse. It was directed by Bruce Goins, who also directed a similar video for his previous single, Rock With You. The song peaked at number 10 in the US on the Billboard Hot 100. The single was even more successful in the UK and peaked at number 3 on the charts. Given the popular response to its emotional re-edition, the song remained in his live set for many years. The 8th single that's coming up next from the album is my number one all-time favorite Michael Jackson classic, I Can't Help It. Written by soul legend Stevie Wonder and the Supreme Susan Green in the key of A flat major, I Can't Help It featured one of his best vocal performances. The perfect mix of passion and laid back. Like Rock With You, this song feels very cool and relaxed. This song appeared on his first adult solo album, Off the Wall. Although it was not released as a single, it was the B-side to Don't Stop Until You Get Enough. With its smooth jazz vibe, I Can't Help It sees Michael Jackson taking a Stevie Wonder pen track and making you forget who wrote it from the first very note. The rich and silky bass open coupled with dreamy jazz inspiring vocal chords create a feeling of sensual delight that's beyond our reach. The production on the track is second to none, drawing on his wealth of experience in the jazz area. Quincy Jones applied the right mixture of a company and holds back from overlaying Michael's voice with dense harmonies, letting him just double track his lead in the chorus. A great example of a strength of where less is more. MJ's sincerity and effortless vocals shine through. I felt like this song definitely should have been released as a single. The 9th single that's coming up next from the album is The Falling in Love. It was written by Carol Baylor Saver and David Foster with production by Quincy Jones. It also featured guest vocals from Patty Austin. Here's the perfect love song for Michael. It's all about the idea of romance, the mystery of thinking of what might be is better than the real thing. Again, it's lightly funky and infused with those horns giving this record so much of its flavor, and the singy song vocal, which is sort of thing with Michael's voice, was made for duetting with Patty Austin on the track. Michael brings us a sensuality to the song that's been lacking in other verses, with Michael kicking off the first verse. His maturing voice and strength give in the mid registry gives his lines a sense of energy and desire, while Patty Austin delivery is smoky and the lyric. If you contrast his first chorus to the final, you can track the surrender to the rush of love building and through the excitement of each passing. By the time he trading yeah tags with Patty, he truly given into it. Despite being one of the stronger, outstanding tracks on the album, it's the Falling in Love does feature some of Michael's most soothing and soulful vocals. For that, it is worthy of inclusion. Furthermore, the song as a duet provide a point of difference and shifted the song aria reaffection of as a tale of two star-crusted lovers. The final single that's coming up next which is the finale, called "Burn This Disco Out." Ron Template once again with his magic, and Off the Wall ends just as it begins, with Michael vowing to keep the party going all night. And a few playful moments, he affects a low bellow and sings "Keep the Boogie Alright" to be continued. Closing the album with "Burn This Disco Out" was both a fitting way to finish the record, and as well a fitting farewell to the disco era that was drawing to a close at the end of the decade. Collapsing all that was good with this once flourishing. It been a bouncing disco beat with a harder funk and soulful edge. Perhaps the track is more ever reminiscent of the Jacksons on the album. The stars of the show here are the richly vocal backing vocals that counter the lead, harmonizing the chorus, and the bass vocal underpin the soaring high notes of the pre-chorus. Once again, Michael Jackson sings with a sense of ease and cheerful playiness. One can almost see him dancing in the booth as he laid down his vocals, and significantly, especially, you can hear little utterance of throwaway ad-libs in the start of what become one of his signature vocal takes. Off the Wall was the album that established him as an artist with astonishing talent and a bright star in his own right. This was a visionary album, a record that found a way to break disco world wide open into a new world where the beat was undeniable. Off the Wall transcended music and entertainment altogether to Black America. The success of the album marked a level of international and national achievement that occurred applied in a culture that, as in late as the end of the 1970s, still fighting for the kind of social acceptance that his album received. It's definitely one of the finest pop and R&B albums ever made, and showcasing Michael Jackson as a gifted and versatile vocalist, comfortably performing on ballads as well upbeat disco tracks. A musical blockbuster LP that looked beyond funk to the future of dance music and beyond soul ballads to the future of heart tuggers. In fact, beyond R&B and colorblind pop. Also, the album was credited for being the pathway of Michael Jackson becoming a genuine musical phenomenon. There comes a time in every young man's life when he must put on a tuxedo and gleaming white socks and go for his own way. For Michael Jackson, that time was 43 years ago. On October 10th, 1979, then weeks shy of his 21st birthday, that MJ released Off the Wall, the album that established him as a grown-up superstar and set the stage for his domination as king of pop. In 1980, Michael won 3 awards at the American Music Awards for his solo efforts. Favorite soul/R&B album, favorite male soul/R&B artist, and favorite soul R&B single. That year, he also won the Grammy Awards for Best Male R&B Vocal Performance. Despite its commercial success, Michael felt Off the Wall should have made a much bigger impact and was determined to exceed expectation with his next release. In particular, Michael Jackson was disappointed that he only won a single Grammy Awards in the 1980s Grammys Award. The Grammy Award for Best Male R&B Vocal Performance. Michael Jackson stated that it was totally unfair that it didn't get the Record of the Year and can never happen again. Off the Wall peaked at number 3 on the Billboard Top LPs and Tape charts and number 1 on the Billboard R&B album chart, staying number 1 for the latter chart for 16 weeks. An enormous commercial success. It was the 3rd best-selling album of 1980. Off the Wall is certified 9 times platinum in the U.S. and has sold over 20 million records worldwide, and also gathered platinum certification in 11 other states. The album's success led to the start of a 9-year partnership between Michael Jackson and Quincy Jones. On a next collaboration would be the 1982 Thriller album, which is the best-selling album of all time. Out of all the tracks that I enjoyed on the album, here is my top favorites from the album. At number 1, I put I Can't Help It. At number 2, I put Don't Stop Till You Get Enough. Rock With You at number 3. Get on the floor at number 4. And at number 5, She's Out of My Life. And at number 6, I will put Workin Day and Night. How does a child star introduce himself to a public intent pigeonholing him? This was the issue Michael Jackson faced in the lead up to Off the Wall. He was no longer the the cute little kid swirling around in front of the Jackson 5. He had grown into a person and as an artist. And he wanted to bring this sense of maturity to his next project, his first solo album as an adult. Michael Jackson released 4 previous solo albums as a teen under the watch of Motown Records, and his first truly of his making. In the lead of its release, Michael Jackson was considered just another singer, songwriter, and performer. Talented for sure, maybe his best years were behind him, but at the rip old age at 21, so for Michael Jackson, Off the Wall was indeed a reintroduction of all sorts. After a staggering 18 previous albums, recordings with the Jackson 5 as a solo artist, and the rebrand Jacksons, Off the Wall represented a chance to guide his own destiny, create his own sound, and chart his own course. For the first time in his solo career, self-penned songs will be recorded. He could co-produce a full handful of songs along with the incredibly Quincy Jones. He was set about creating the perfect pop/R&B crossover album. After 43 years after its release, it leaves you with that impression. The sequence of this album, along with its countless collection of songs and amazing production, not to mention pure talent on his vocal delivery, is what has made Off the Wall a classic album. It was proof that Michael Jackson had the goods, and those that weren't paying attention to his development as a songwriter and performer through his work with the Jackson, it ensured that he could no longer be ignored. And while the mega success of his follow-up, Thriller in 1982, is often pointed as the blueprint for how to execute a multi-genre album, it initially sketches such lofty goals that can be found in Off the Wall, with a collection of songs that blend funk, disco, R&B, soul, pop, and jazz, intertwining them in the tree of a true artist. With this release, through significant recordings, Michael Jackson forever changed the musical landscape. Free from expectations, Michael Jackson allowed to flourish and stretch himself to play and explore and found his sound. It was allowed just to be that authentic presentation of his amazing and God-gifted talents and who he is as an artist makes Off the Wall an awarding listen. To hear Off the Wall now, 43 years later, it's easy to forget the obstacles my MJ faced it. But in a rare moment in his career, he was out to prove himself rather than top himself. There a talk sense, a joy, effing, and a record in every performance. He was everywhere where he meant to be, doing what he meant to do, loving every moment of his newfound and creative freedom. It is his Nothing to Lose But Something to Prove album, his coming of age album, and his first step to true superstardom. Thank you for enjoying this musical ride with me throughout the video. Please don't forget to like, share, and comment on the video. Subscribe to my channel if you're new. Also, don't forget to turn on your notifications for new videos. Like I said, let's always celebrate our legends while they still here, and always give them their flowers, respect, and recognition. Stay safe and blessed. Have a good night. I'm out. Peace.